You guys, happy hour is from 4 to 6.
Miss Kennedy, would you get me a medium dry vodka martini?
What is
Shaken, not stirred.
Hold on. I'm not hearing it right. Hold on. We got it now.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. I hope you are also all doing well on our weekly Tuesday happy hour movie chat. Cheers to everyone. I know the holidays are coming up quite quickly. I'm still getting prepared for them myself. But yeah, so I'm excited to watch some movies in the next 2 weeks. You know, we do have some, they're all Warner Brothers movies. And I'm not like, these movies coming out this weekend in particular are actually these that I'm like dying to see. But I think like the fact that they're, you know, family-esque type of movies, you know, it just, it's reminiscent and nostalgic for like this time of year. So I did put up a poll, and I think, yeah, where is my poll? I gotta get the poll up, but I'm not gonna close it till 5:30. And it's essentially saying, are you going to the movies this weekend, or like the holiday week, or are you going to stay home and watch some stuff with your family streaming wise? So I'm going to get into the chat. I do want to also bring up the fact that I did a live reaction to the Critics' Choice Awards with Max, and I did not realize that the video that they were presenting to everyone only showed like 5 nominations or 8 nominations, something like really small. I went that route too because when we did the Golden Globes reaction, we didn't do it that way. We just scrolled through because we had to kind of like Max had to go to work and all this stuff. So then I was like, okay, we can finally react to a video, and then it wound up not actually showing like most of the nominees. So I apologize on that, but it's not like there's anything crazy there. I do like the fact that the kid from Anatomy of a Fall got a nomination for, I think it's like, it's essentially the award for children. I like that he got a nomination for that, and I do like the fact that the little girl from The Creator also got a nomination because I thought they were both fantastic. And then I have a lovely guest showing up today. I'm sure you all know him and his channel, The Movie Cynic, and we're just gonna discuss everything movie related like we always do on this channel. So I'll get into the chat and then we'll go from there. Hello, Emmett. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Have you seen the trailer for Kung Fu Panda 4? Yes, I have, but I have not seen like any of them. And I know that's horrible. I do really know that's horrible. And I know that they would be right up my alley. I think I maybe saw the first one and I liked it. And I do really like Jack Black. So I need to get on a Kung Fu Panda you know, just one day, just like watch them all because it's really insane that I haven't seen them. Hello, Luke. How's it going? I hope you're doing excellent today. Great stream the other night. The View with Drew. Hey, how's it going? Are you, Drew, going to be seeing any movies this week? I'm curious. As with everyone in the chat, obviously. There's Max, my boyfriend, always supportive and at work. It's very nice for you to stop by. And they're all saying hi to each other. D. Marcel, nice to see you again. what's up, Nerdy Film Girl or NFG? This is going to be my third time watching one of your live streams. What's up? Well, that's just wonderful to hear. It's really appreciated, and I'm happy you are enjoying the content. So that's wonderful, and I really do. Cheers to you, and hope you're having a wonderful holiday and just getting into the spirit of things. Again, I'm still getting there slowly but surely. And everyone's saying hi. Out of all the movie villains in 2022 movies, who do you think is the best villain? Okay, well, I'm gonna just star this because I'm gonna have to actually remember what came out in 2022 because my goodness. But that's a great question. You always come up with these like really specific questions that are very difficult to answer on the spot, and I really appreciate that. So, but thank you so much for participating as always, and I will try to come up with an answer for that. Maybe the movie cynic has a good answer for that as well. Eraserhead, hello, hope you are doing lovely today. Thanks so much for stopping by. Yes, Anatomy of a Fall, I love that movie, and that's Max's favorite film of the year. It's not my favorite film of the year, but it's definitely in like my top 5. I've made it. Oh, Franco, yes. How are you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful holiday as well. I know we're not quite there, but I'm just gonna keep wishing people happy holidays. So just deal with it. Collector Movie Man, hello. Very nice to see you here. Thanks so much for joining us today. Again, my guest as always comes on at 5. So if you don't care to just join me for half hour, that's totally fine. You can always come back at 5 when my guest arrives. Hello. Yes. Very nice to have you here, Collector Movie Man. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you going to see? Yes, I'm going to see it actually next week because Max is going to Pittsburgh to visit his family. And we're doing Wonka tomorrow. We probably would have seen Aquaman first, but Aquaman doesn't come out till Thursday. So we're going to see that next Wednesday. I'm hesitant, but I'm looking forward to hopefully a really good time. I do like James Wan, but I'm also happy James Wan is no longer making any more of these movies. Nothing against him, but I'm just looking forward to a new era. It is closing the chapter. I just saw Movie Files. If you guys don't know Movie Files, he was just live actually on Instagram, and I think that's like the perfect way to put it. It's like you're closing the chapter on anything DC Snyder related, and I'm not someone that hates on Zack Snyder at all. I don't love everything he does, but there's things that I do love, and there's things that I also hate. So actually that's a good thing to bring up to you guys. Are you guys going to see Rebel Moon Thursday? That's another one I'm going to have to wait for because Max is a huge Zack Snyder fan, and we're going to be watching Rebel Moon next week. So anyone in the chat, if they're interested in that, I know it's not getting the best review right now, but we'll see. Okay. Oh yes, again, thank you very much. Did I mention Scott? Thank you so much for stopping by. Yeah, I don't know. I used to do this like a long time ago before I did live streams and stuff, and Max and I made videos and like pandemic, and we always had a fire background on, and stopped doing that, and I think he actually recommended it a couple weeks ago. So we're trying to do that, or I'm at least, both of us, whenever he's on, but I'm trying to do it when I'm not streaming with him. Thank you. And it's cozy. I think it works for this time of year, especially. I don't know if I would want to play that though during the summertime when it's really hot, because maybe it would just make people feel even hotter than they should. Here's a question for everyone. What do you think is the worst movie of 2023? My answer is The Marvels. I think everyone, I think a lot of people know that. And I have discussed why I don't like that film. I really don't like it. And there's been some, not the best movies this year, but I genuinely think that The Marvels is the one. It's totally fine if you disagree with me. Like, everyone has their own taste and stuff. I was just overly disappointed, and I didn't have high expectations to begin with. So I think that also factors into that. Oppenheimer is my favorite movie of the year so far. Haven't seen a lot recently because I've been so busy. Yeah, Oppenheimer's solid. It's going to still do really well. nominations wise at the Oscars, I think it will probably be Christopher Nolan's year for Best Director. I don't know if it's going to win Best Picture though. Only time will tell. Especially once we get into actual like award stuff in like January, February. The Oscars are in March this year. So it's a little bit more back to normal timing. There was like a couple of years where they pushed it up really early and it felt off. But it is back in March. Normal is like late February, early March. I think really Oppenheimer's best chance for sure is Best Director. The Best Actor category is really, really, really crowded. There's just so many great performances this year. So for Cillian Murphy to be like a shoo-in, I just don't think he is. But I wouldn't be surprised if he won. But I also don't think that Oppenheimer is necessarily a shoo-in for Best Picture either. Again, the competition this year is insane. Like it's like one of the best years in film ever, and it's been fantastic watching all these brilliant pieces of art. But I'm glad you liked Oppenheimer. Yeah, it was definitely really well made and solid for sure. I can't believe James Gunn is taking over. You know what? I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Oh, not Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Yes, I've seen that. Love that movie. I watched the Christmas special for the first time like 2 nights ago, and I thought it was really great. And if anything you have to say you hate or love James Gunn, he has such a great specific vision, and I think when he loves characters, he does a really great job with them, and he handles them with care. So I'm hoping he treats the DC in that same regard. If he really cares, then that I think there shouldn't be that big of an issue. And I know we all have our doubts. I'm not saying that I don't have doubts, believe me. But yeah, I think it's just like time and time again. Like, I was a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then just seeing the Christmas special that I missed, and it was great. It wasn't over the top, but it's like a 45-minute special. It cut to the chase really quickly, but that's what Christmas specials do. And I thought it was great and it was fun. So, yeah, I'm still believing in the future of DC with James Gunn, even though I'm scared about it. But it's got to be better than what we've gotten recently. That's all I'll say. Yes, too many to choose from. Yeah, there were some bad films this year, but again, like it's interesting. It's almost like it's the year of the worst film ever and the best films ever. It's a very interesting year. I'll be watching Rebel Moon for myself. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. I mean, it's gonna do well streaming wise, even for people that are just curious about it. Franco, oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much. Actually, I feel like I need to sneeze, but I don't want to sneeze. And okay, I didn't sneeze. Sorry for that little interlude about sneezing, but Max says there's no way Rebel Moon can disappoint. What a visionary. I mean, no one's complaining about the graphics, so at least we have that on our side. It's not going to be another Flash debacle with the graphics. All the Guardians of the Galaxy projects are great movies and specials. I 100% agree with that. Like all the way. The second movie is my least favorite, and I think it's just because I felt that the storyline with Peter Quill's dad was just kind of who cares a little bit for me. But everything else I've loved ever since. Are you more looking forward to Chalamet in Dune or Wonka? I kind of just want to say neither. I mean, I don't hate him. I just don't get it, I guess. And I think he was heavily miscast in Wonka, but I'm still going to give it like, an open mind for Wonka. Obviously, like Dune, he fits that real well. But either way, I'm just not like a huge. I just don't think he has that like star power charisma to be like a leading man in a film. So that's kind of how I feel. And it's nothing against him. I just like he's been in roles that make sense, like in Lady Bird and even like Call Me by Your Name. Like he was great in those, but I feel like I don't know. I think he just feels like he needs to grow up a little bit. I kind of always feel like I'm watching a 12-year-old when I watch him. And again, it's nothing like that he's doing specifically. So I've never even watched a single Star Wars movie or show. Can I watch Rebel Moon without watching? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's actually not a Star Wars movie. It's just inspired by Star Wars. So like Zack Snyder, like his dream in life was to make a Star Wars movie, and that never came to fruition. So he kind of came up with his own concept that is as well a space opera. So yeah, like definitely you don't have to have watched any of those. Absolutely. Yes, you're totally right, D. Marcel. It is absolutely separate. It's not it's literally its own thing that he came up with. So that's why you're totally fine without doing that. I think Guardians films are the most overrated received movies. I actually like Guardians 2. At best, it's funny and fun. Guardians 3 was good, but disappointing in who would died. I'm not. Oh, well, but like sometimes you need that. Like I think that's why that movie works. It gives like it enhanced Rocket's backstory, and it made us feel for him even more and like appreciate why he has such a shell. Like for the first two films, you really can understand why family is also incredibly important to him, and he kind of found himself in this family of misfits. So it's totally fine to not like the movies, but I do think it's okay to have sad moments, especially when it completely it just elevates these characters' background stories or their backstory so much more. I'm going to bring this up. This is like not on my mind all the time, but I think because I talked to John Adamates and Bumbridger a lot about marketing, I have to I've talked about this before, but I have to just show you guys. I know that Taylor Swift and Beyonce have different demographics. I know that like Taylor Swift's demographic is so young and they went multiple times and all that stuff. However, the poster they chose for Beyonce's movie is like horrific. It's so bad because, we all everyone in the chat and, me included, we all know what movies are coming out and things like that. A lot of people are not like that. And if you guys let me know in the chat, do you think that this poster lets the average person, if you're just walking by really fast, know that Beyonce put a movie out? Because to me, this is the worst marketing I've ever seen in my life. This is it. And I know you guys can, I think, yeah, you guys can see this. It's you might not even know it's her. And then they put like this super small, a film by Beyonce and Renaissance on the top. And like, I have to say, I was kind of surprised that it didn't do well. It did fine technically, but it didn't like make anywhere near, I never thought it was going to be even close to Taylor Swift's, box office numbers. But this is like the worst poster I've ever seen. And I think they did her such a detriment by putting this out. And this is actually the second poster. The first poster is just as bad. They didn't want to showcase her face. The Taylor Swift poster is her like literally with a microphone in her little outfit, like front and center on stage. And it's, it just, yes, maybe they felt they didn't need to market her because she is so famous that you don't need to, but people are idiots. And like, I'm sure there were probably people that like had no idea this was even out. I'm sure there are people that probably would have loved to have seen it. I didn't see it, but I didn't see the Taylor Swift one either. But like, yeah, I just have to see what you guys think about this, because I think it's just like it's the worst marketing I've ever seen in my life. Yes, Franco. Yeah, you can't even tell what it is, and I think it's so bad. Thank you for saying that, because I'm glad you agree. Okay, great. I'm definitely gonna watch Rebel Moon when it comes out because the trailer looks amazing to me. Yeah, and keep in mind too, the trailer is for 2 films, so it's a 2-parter. So you're gonna get the first part. The trailer actually showcases both movies. So just keep that in mind. I think part 2 is coming out next spring. It might be sooner. I'm not positive. David, thanks so much for joining us. Sadly sick, starting getting symptoms of on Sunday night. So I've been lying low these past few days. Well, very happy that you've joined us, and happy you're here. And I hope you feel better soon. Yeah, it's this time of year, everyone gets a little something here and there. Tim, thanks so much for stopping by. There's no iconic branding of Beyonce that would tell you that it's a Beyonce movie. It could have been a generic female singer poster. Yes. Yes, you have. There's nothing in that. Like, there's nothing in that, and that even is her trademark or her brand. You're so spot on with that. Oh, and then that's very nice, Franco. Yeah. So I hope that David feels better soon. I do want to discuss. Let me see if I can get this poll up really quick. I want to see where it's at. I did do a poll also on my community thing that was essentially, what are you guys seeing this weekend and holiday weekend? Because it is kind of related to the poll I put out in the chat for you guys. So let me just get to my channel here real quick. And okay, so I'll just share this. Thanks for sticking with me while I get this up here. I feel like they should make it's very easy to share your screen on StreamYard, but I feel like there's ways that could just be like boom and you're there. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Okay, so I put this poll out earlier today just to kind of get a vibe from people what they're seeing, because everything that is coming out except for like Migration and Poor Things gets a huge release, I believe, next weekend. I keep telling people the wrong information about Poor Things. I'm so sorry. I thought it had its wide release this past weekend, and it just expanded to 83 theaters. Doing very well, by the way. It made over $2 million in such a small such a small amount of theaters. I think that film is definitely going to make its money back. I think word of mouth is going to also make that happen as well. And if it doesn't in the theaters, people are absolutely going to be buying it or streaming it, like for sure, just because of the discussions going around that film and how slightly controversial it is. I don't think it's controversial, but a lot of people do. I'm still actually, I'm banking on it for, I would love for it to win Best Picture. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's definitely going to get nominated. And I am obsessed with that movie. Since Warner Brothers, it has the monopoly, we've got these 3 movies. Wonka obviously came out this past weekend, did astronomically well. I mean, I think it made like $93 million or just a little over 92. Then you have The Color Purple, which is the musical adaptation of the Steven Spielberg film. And then you have Aquaman. So, 38% are going to go see Aquaman, 24% seeing The Color Purple, and then 24% are seeing Wonka. So Color Purple and Wonka are kind of like, tied for that one. And then, I did have 2 or more. I wish I could do 6 because, like, I would love to just be like all 3 and then someone like just have an option for none. That would be great. But they only give you 4 options. But yeah, so we've got, people are definitely checking some of these films out. If you are going to see any of these, what are you excited? I'd love to hear in the chat. Moving forward, what you guys are thinking about. We have Anthony Pitiol. I am so sorry if I butchered your last name. Driving red light. Appreciate the content. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much. Yes, and everyone is hoping David recovers quickly. That's for sure. If I'm well enough by then, I'll probably see Wish on Friday. Yeah, I mean, there's so many movies out. They're still out, I was looking at the box office numbers and, at least like over $50,000 each they're making, solidly. A lot of these films that have come out, weeks and weeks ago. So I think, if films right now, I think staying in theaters as long as possible during the holidays and into mid-January, I think is the smartest way, just to get as much as you can. Like, why not? There's not a lot coming out soon to take those places, I'd say. So just milk it. I mean, I don't know I love that Godzilla -1 extended its release in the US because they were going to cut it from theaters like 2 weeks ago. And then they saw how well it was doing and they saw how much Americans were loving the film. So they extended it, and I don't see it leaving anytime soon. It's still making money. It's doing great. So I think that that's just the way to go. Yeah, see, everyone's getting sick with something right now. Everyone on this chat, I hope you are all healthy and staying, take your vitamin C and let's all try to get better as soon as quickly. I'm doing okay, knock on wood, but I wasn't feeling too hot a couple weeks ago, but I'm feeling okay right now. And yeah, it's fun. I'm still getting there. I'm still getting into the spirit here, but I'm trying. I'm gonna also. I'd have to look at this poll, the poll I put up for you guys. That's why I actually went on to that initial one, but I did want to discuss it. Are you guys gonna see Aquaman, The Color Purple, or Wonka? I think it is the craziest thing that Warner Brothers decided to like hold on these films to holidays and then release them all. I think it's the craziest gamble, and I think it's also like, if it works, like the smartest thing I've ever seen a studio do, because I have not seen that done before. I like three because all of these films can appeal to different types of people, and some, maybe more of them. Like, I'm going to see all three of them eventually, but it's like anything that you gravitate towards, like there's a movie for you, and I think that's kind of super genius. I don't know how the box office is gonna do for Aquaman and The Color Purple, but I mean, Wonka's already doing well, so at this point, The Color Purple and Aquaman will probably get the crowd that have already seen Wonka. Just because they did release it a week before. Let me see here. Here we go. Okay, so I've got a couple more minutes before my guest joins us, the movie cynic, and obviously we can ask him too if he's going to be seeing anything soon. So here we go. I have to do this real quick. There we go. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Yeah, there we go. I was like, I need a mirror effect. Cool. So the poll right now, 67% of you are saying hell yes, 20% are saying hell no, and we've got 13% choosing to stream at home. And I will tell you, as if there are people in the chat that are not feeling the best, I don't blame you for streaming at home, because that's like the best way to get over something. It's just binge like a bunch of movies or shows and stay on the couch and just get better. I'm so far off here. Great take on W. Yeah, it's wild. I think it's smart. Know that they're still struggling financially even after Barbie made them a lot of money, still in debt, and I think that this is like, just bet on every genre we have and see what happens. So I'm excited to see the box office this weekend. I seriously really want to see Migration, which is dumb. Like, I never even thought I'd want to see it, but every time I see a trailer for it, I'm like, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Illumination to me, a lot of times they make movies, for babies, and this movie is probably meant for babies. But the ducks look adorable, and I feel like I have a good time watching it. So, and they go to New York. That's cool too. I live here. I'd love to see how they depicted New York in this film. I just realized there could have been 2 Chalamet movies out around Christmas. I'm so glad you brought this up. So right after the writer's strike, SNL, did I say right after? Yeah, so the writer's SNL Timothy Chalamet host. And Timothy Chalamet was, I guess, already scheduled. And I don't know if it was for that specific date or if it was a little bit earlier and they just, pushed it forward. He was supposed to host Dune. So I think it was supposed to be maybe a little bit earlier. Because Dune got pushed, he used that time to promote Wonka. So that was a really big coincidence. It worked out well because when SNL came back after the writer's strike, they couldn't really use actors because that would break the SAG-AFTRA contract. Or at least, it looked really bad. So they had like comedians, hosts, and things like that. But yeah, it was not. They didn't have actual, celebrity actors doing films. They couldn't promote it. But then they did Timothy Chalamet come on as scheduled, but he just had to switch movies. So, we'll answer this last question and then or comment, and then I will play the little intro video for my guest, and we'll go from there. So, D. Marcel, oh my God, I've just realized The Color Purple is just a remake of the 1981. I watched it years ago. I can barely remember it. So I just want to clarify, it's actually it's a film adaptation of the Broadway show that was an adaptation, and it was a musical, and that was the adaptation of the Spielberg film that was the adaptation of the book. So the version that is going is essentially a film version of the Broadway they did that was incredibly successful. So, thank you so much, G. Marcel. I'm going to put the little intro video here, and then our guest will join us. And thank you all for joining us today.
Is there alcohol in this?
Oh, God, honey, no. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? Because if you're going to drink, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Make it Suntory time.
Hello, sir. Are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm still in travel mode, so I don't have any of my gear. I don't have anything good. I can turn the camera on, but it's not the.
I mean, we're not picky. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't know how strong the connection is here because I'm not home in Nashville, so I have no
Yeah,
idea.
no, I think it's working great. There's no lag or anything. So thank you
Cool.
so much
All right.
for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invite. I mean, you've helped us on Beast Up and been a guest multiple times, so
Oh,
yeah,
thank
more than
you.
happy to come on the air. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure that everyone in the chat already knows who you are, but if they don't, do you want to tell them a little about you and your channel and everything that you do?
Yeah, and if I start lagging, it will be the connection so that I can turn off the camera. But my channel name is The Movie Cynic. My actual name's Matt. But I review mostly television and movies. But I do a lot of video essays that kind of touch on popular culture in general. And I am also an artist and writer and have a graphic novel that's published too. So I try and put my money where my mouth is when it comes to critiquing writing, I guess. And yeah, so I live down south in Music City. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, was everyone okay with the tornadoes that happened? Did you get affected?
Where I lived, no, shockingly, like it didn't even lose power. But I haven't been home, so I just saw like the videos and got updates. So yeah, everyone is okay down there. So thank God. But actually up here, like where I am, it was one of the worst windstorms I've ever seen. So there's no power in like 2/3 or 1/3 of the state. I think it's completely out of power right now. Yeah, I can't escape it.
Oh my God, the two specific locations. That's crazy.
Yeah, and they're like 2,000 miles apart too. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Geez, you can't catch a break with the weather. My goodness.
no, complete chaos. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, is there anything that you've seen recently that you've really enjoyed?
Oh yeah, I think tomorrow it's going live, and it's actually up for channel members right now. Is my review for Godzilla -1. It's I didn't think that was going to be as good as it was. I'm a massive Godzilla fan, so I was really, really looking forward to it. Like Godzilla is a franchise that I've loved since I was a little kid. So for every kind of iteration of that character, whether it's the rubber suit or the CGI, like I'm there for it, and I'm there to be biased and defend it. But this was generally speaking, just as a film, an incredible movie. And it was up to that point, I think Talk to Me was probably my favorite movie this year. But Godzilla -1 took that spot. I still need to see Killers of the Flower Moon. That was on my radar anyway. Before I can officially make the determination that it's my favorite, but it'll be really hard to beat. It's amazing. Did you see it yet?
I loved it. I loved it so much, and I didn't know I was going to cry so much.
I know,
oh
I did too. I cried at the end of the movie. It was an incredible movie.
They did so much with it. And I was telling the chat earlier that they were not going to extend its release here as long as they have. And then they realized it was doing well. Like they were going to cut it like after a week or two. And it's like, no, everyone loves this. The word of mouth is huge on this and it's doing well. So it's great. And I think it was like a $10 million budget, which is insane.
Yeah, the reported budget was like it translates to $15 million USD, but the director said it was lower than that. So it's probably more like between like 10 and 12, which is just unreal with what they accomplished with that film. And it's my longest video in a while, and it's a positive review, so that feels really nice to actually talk. Good. Yeah, to like talk shop and actually just appreciate something for once. So. Did that just put a thumbs up on the screen?
So this only happened one other time, and it was when I was streaming with Bonebridger and John, and it appeared over John's shoulder, and I've never seen it since, and this is the first time I've seen it again. So I don't know.
I think it's because it's an Apple product. Like I'm using iPad right now, so it's...
so funny. Oh my god. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna get to the chat really quick, and then we'll get back into what we like that we've seen and things like that.
Sure.
Okay, so Max, my boyfriend says, "Welcome, Matt. Good to see you on here."
Yeah, thanks, Max.
We got Franco Hasten. Blue Boy is back. Yes,
it's literally back. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually back.
Eraserhead says, I know you've been busy with life and Beast hasn't been active lately, but it's good to see Cinema showing up on other people's streams.
Yeah, it is. I've gotten more invites since I was like decidedly not active streaming. But it's not because I don't want to. It's more of just like I can't bring my camera and like the quality thing, so I just don't want to do it. But we are actually everyone, we're doing BSUP on the 29th tentatively, and we're gonna have rotating guests, and it's gonna be a best and worst of 2023 episode. So we will return before the new year. Yeah, I'm
sure everyone will be very looking forward to that.
Yeah, and of course you'll be invited on too to discuss.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's, I think, you haven't been doing it, but obviously exactly what he's saying, like if someone's not having their weekly stream and you're able to still, give your opinions and stuff on other people's stuff, it's great, because that's really what they enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice being connected. It's weird being like disconnected from, like, I've become friends with everybody. So, I want to, just want to make sure to keep up with everybody.
David says he did mention that a little bit about his weather being snow, but he said Godzilla is an unexpectedly emotional franchise, and this is from someone who saw the original and the really bad dub from the 50s.
Yeah. In my review, I have a massive section of it where I talk about how Godzilla is so versatile as a character, because he can become a character. You can kind of create a fully three-dimensional character out of him, or he can be a tool and kind of like the crux of a story and the emotional human weight of a story. I'd say like the original 1954 film and Godzilla -1 did that best of making it a human story. And other times it's the big rubber suit, like kid-friendly fest. But yeah, it can be unexpectedly emotional. Like I was shocked that I cried at the end of a Godzilla movie. It's amazing. I never thought I'd say that.
I agree, and I think you actually like commented on one of my streams once, and you were talking about Godzilla and your love for the franchise, and I am not as familiar with it, and if you're saying like the 1954 one is like I need recommendations, I think, on where to go through from here, because I only saw the Matthew Broderick one like when it came out, and that was
God. It's so bad. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, the 1954 film is another one of those movies that's just, it's a Godzilla movie, it's a monster movie, it's just an amazing movie. So if you haven't seen that yet, check it out, and don't watch the Americanized version, watch the subtitled Japanese original.
Cool. Yeah, I always try to do that with foreign films for sure.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
We've got Eraserhead says that's awesome news. I think that's referring to B-Sub returning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Always up for a B-Sub, especially if Nerdy Film gets an invite. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Yes, they're all looking forward to that. And then we have, and David, I guess, is the English version with Raymond Burr. It takes away from the original a lot.
Yep, absolutely agree with David there. Yeah, don't watch so it's the 1956 is the original, but it's the Americanized version of said original. Yeah,
Okay.
1954.
Yeah. Yes. No thanks. That's like there's been a few films recently. Oh no, you know what it was, and I know it's been happening with films as well. But I remember when Squid Game came out, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's like it got nominated for a bunch of acting categories or whatever." And they were like, "How can you even tell the acting's good with all that like bad dubbing?" And I was like, "You're watching it dubbed."
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like mistake number one.
So if you are talking about like your favorites of the year, and I would say like on my end, I know you haven't seen either of these films yet, but Poor Things is incredible, and it gets a wide release, I believe, next weekend or the weekend after. It's really out there, but I loved it. The Holdovers actually too with Paul Giamatti. I know the trailer was kind of like a little who cares. The movie's phenomenal, and actually Alexander Payne did like a great job with that one as well.
I love Paul Giamatti, so
oh yes.
I didn't even know that movie existed.
Oh yes, yeah. You watch the trailer, and it literally feels like it's a movie right out of the 70s. Like I think you'd really dig it.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I've been so out of the loop like the last couple months, just barely keeping up with like the biggest things in pop culture has been hard. So
totally.
That sounds nice.
Yeah,
catching up with some Paul Giamatti.
Yes, no, I love him. He is a legend for sure. So obviously, talk to me, Godzilla -1. Were there films that you felt, or like, what was your like biggest disappointment? I feel like this year.
Oh, biggest disappointment? Oh man, I'd have to think on that one. I don't know. I don't go into a lot with high expectations. Yeah. I don't know. Everything kind of seemed to fall into place the way I predicted this year. I don't even know if anything was really surprising, let alone disappointing.
True. That is true.
Yeah. What about you? Was there anything that you were really looking forward to that ended up just being terrible?
I think The Flash was probably, and like I didn't even hate it. I just think
I guess
it could have been much more,
Yeah, that was probably, I guess, the closest one. I wanted it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the closest thing I could say to get to be a disappointment. But I was also not surprised that it wasn't very good. Like all the signs were there. How many times was the release date pushed back and the reshoots, and just that's never. The only movie that stands out in my mind where I know it had extensive reshoots and it was criticized for it and people anticipated it bombing it, but then it was incredible, was The Departed. And that was in 2006. Yeah, that one had extensive reshoots, and there was a lot of turmoil, and everyone kind of expected a hack job, and then it won Best Picture,
Yeah.
But
yeah, Scorsese, I think he can kind of it's like if he's demanding reshoots, it's definitely probably for a much better reason than any of these
absolutely
blockbusters. Yeah. So what do you remember? I guess like what got you really into movies? Like were there some favorites when you were growing up, or like something that like you just gravitated towards?
Yeah, I always loved superheroes and like monsters and stuff. And when I was a little kid, I know this sounds crazy to some people, but I just had almost like unfettered access to like a VHS collection of. So I would watch like horror movies when I was a little kid because I loved monsters, and like Jason, and Freddy were monsters, and my parents didn't like me watching them, but I'd like sneak and watch those. So I was really into that, and like Batman and Ninja Turtles. So it was like this hodgepodge of entertainment. Like I didn't just love movies, I loved comic books and movies. And I remember always wanting to see my like favorite superheroes in films too. So I would say that was the catalyst for the channel, was when those started to suck. But yeah, I became like kind of a, I don't know, I'm not like a film aficionado like I would say you are. You're off the charts with your film knowledge. But I definitely have an opinion on it. And I find like when people criticize people who talk about popular films and don't really give any films a lot of attention and stuff, pop culture is really important. It's popular, and it's so that means a lot of people care about it, and that's going to affect society in a way. And so I think it's totally appropriate and okay to you're focused on the things that are well, important to most folks. And I try and do my due diligence of like recommending independent films as much as I can that I do see, but they're few and far between. Like most things, I don't think like most art is incredible. I don't think that most art is amazing, because then when it is amazing, it's not special, or it wouldn't be special. And the films I recommend, I do it for a reason. Like I try, and everything I talk about, everything I recommend, everything I criticize, like I only release like 2 or 3 videos a month, and it's because I want to, I mean what I say, and I want to, I want to address everything, whether it's negative or positive. But yeah, that was a long-winded way of saying I've loved movies since I was a little kid.
No, that's fantastic. And it's funny that I think everything you're saying, it does ring true. And I will say, I thought it was kind of funny that one of the movies you recommended, Sam, you didn't say you loved it, but you did a video on it. But you said you enjoyed it, and that was the and I haven't actually seen it yet. The Jennifer Lawrence No Hard Feelings.
Oh yeah, No Hard Feelings. That was
She
like, that
actually got
was
a
way
nomination.
better. Did she? For what?
She got a Golden Globes nomination for Best Actress in a Comedy.
Good for her. Honestly, yeah, when it comes to that movie, it was way better than I had any right to be. And it was nice to see one of those movies again. It wanted to be a raunchy film, like super bad, like it clearly did. And it didn't hit that mark, not even close. I mean, that's a comedy classic, but it's nice to see that style of film in the theater again, because you just don't see it anymore.
You don't.
Or just comedy in general in theaters. It's like comedy itself has shifted from being something you see in movies to, it's like specialty. It's like stand up now or something.
Stand up is huge right now.
Yeah, stand up's enormous.
Yeah. I agree. I would like to see more comedies, for sure. People I think are just scared to take risks. But I also feel like you can still make things funny without being like that controversial. I know that not everyone loved this movie, but I really enjoyed Strays, and I thought that like the comedy in that was really smart and fun. But I think if you're not like an animal person, you won't find it as funny.
Yeah, I've avoided that movie.
That
did not look appealing off the bat. No,
yeah.
It didn't look appealing off the bat.
No, the trailer was terrible. And I think though, like the way they made it, like they used very minimal CGI, like just for the talking, and everything else was just like really well trained dogs. And it's not, it did have at least that like raunchy comedy. Like at least they took some risks with that, which you don't see as much,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the just CGI mouth must have been jarring to watch with an actual full-blooded animal.
you get like used to it after 5 minutes, I would say. In the beginning it's
Oh,
jarring,
okay.
and then it kind of, you're like, okay, well, this isn't bothering me anymore. And I think because the dogs are so active in the film, like it works. It's like I don't know. The way they do it, I think it actually was pulled off in an okay way. I'm gonna go to the chat really quick because I think there's some questions for you.
Sure.
Let me see here. Um, I've never watched Godzilla, but I do love the 2005 King Kong movie. I think that's the Peter Jackson one, right?
Yeah, that's the Jackson one. Yeah, that is a really good one. I haven't seen it since it came out, though. I remember I went to the midnight show when that used to be a thing for that and loved it, but maybe I'll have to rewatch that again and see if it holds up. I remember thinking back in the day, it won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, but I even remember in 2005 that like some of the visual effects were a little wonky, and it's not even they were pushing the boundaries. So I remember just being like, they're that's Weta. That's what they do. They push things, but yeah, I'll have to check that out again. It's been 18 years.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it actually until last year, I believe, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. I think Peter Jackson's vision was really good. And it still paid like an homage to the original one from the 30s. Haven't seen any real 2023 movie this year, but I do have Barbie and Oppenheimer on 4K, so I'll do that at some point. You got to do, you own both of them. If you haven't seen them, then you got to do Barbenheimer in one day then, if you own them both.
Yeah, I would suggest doing it. Even, I mean, I didn't give Barbie a very good review, but you still should watch it.
Yeah.
At least definitely watch it and see what you think of it.
I watched it as a kid. I love the scene when Kong is fighting the T-Rex and he rips his mouth open. I didn't see I don't know what film that is actually.
Oh, that was in the 2005 Peter Jackson one. Because I remember that stood out to me too. He like defeats I think 3 T-Rexes, and like he rips one jaw open, and then it's like a humorous scene because he's a gorilla, like he plays with it a little bit. Yeah, that was good.
Good man with TMNT and Batman. Any experience with Betamax tapes or Laserdisc?
No, I remember wanting a Laserdisc so bad. I have still to this day, as a 36-year-old, I've never even experienced a Laserdisc, and I want to just for I always wanted to, even when I was a kid. I almost got to watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Laserdisc and at a friend's house, but it ended up like being busted and not working when we tried it. That was my closest experience. And Betamax, no. No.
Yeah, he has a Laserdisc player, but it's in storage, and we just don't have the room for it. But I actually have not actually experienced it either, so I'm right with you. I'd like to do that for sure.
Yeah, I just want to try it.
Franco says, "Sorry, Tracy and Cynic, I'm too tired. I need my bed. Night." Absolutely.
Go to bed, Franco.
Yes.
Catch the re-up.
No Hard Feelings was way better than I expected. Jennifer Lawrence did Somebody Wants acting.
Yeah, even in my review, there was a lot of criticism, but there was one scene in particular that was really good. I think it was like the end of the second act, and it was a really well written scene because it was a callback to earlier in the film. So I just appreciated that, and it was the kid singing. Well, he's not a kid because he's 19. But she was really great in that. I was like, wow, she's even bringing it in a raunchy comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's never been considered to be like a bad actress,
No,
I'm kind of glad she's
no.
breaking out of that whole franchise machine that she was in for so long. I didn't even know Laserdisc and especially Betamax were a thing until I started getting into classic movies around 2013. Yeah. And I think
I don't even know. I'll just say I don't even know what the fuck Betamax is. What is that?
I think it was like supposed to be the competition. It was not the competition to Laserdisc. I think that's what it was actually, and it phased out really quickly. I think I'm probably wrong. If someone in the
Because
comments,
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I do just want to point that out there. Like, I'm embarrassed I don't know exactly what it is, but I have at least heard of it. So it was like the Blu-ray versus, wasn't it like UHD DVD or something?
Yeah, or like remember when HD DVDs were a thing, and then Blu-ray
HD DVD.
that was like,
Yeah.
and now they have the UHD too, but that's kind of, I think, the same thing as 4K, where it's like it's in the same realm. But I know that HD DVD did not do any long-term success.
Yeah, I remember that.
Let's see here. Quiz Lady was a pretty solid comedy. It's primarily on Hulu. I did see the trailer for it, and it did look funny. I do like Sandra Oh. I've too many bad experiences with live action talking animal movies, not named Babe, so I've avoided it too. You know the funniest thing? Did you know that George Miller, sorry, I'm combining the Millers. George Miller directed Babe, the guy that did Mad Max.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
How is that not like a trivia question that I've heard all the time?
Wild.
Wow. Yeah.
And that movie also
that's
got
amazing.
Babe also got nominated for Best Picture, just like Mad Max. But it's just like the weirdest.
Yeah, I did know that was nominated for Best Picture at least, but
It's so funny. Oh, here we go. Betamax was Japanese videotape format. VHS. Okay, it was VHS.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a competitor to Laserdisc. It was a VHS competitor.
Yeah, that's very cool. So I wanted to say I loved you did a stream and you did a whole kind of commentary on the original Halloween. And I thought that was great. Do you have any like for the far future? Because I know there's so much going on and it's the holidays and things like that. Do you think you want to do more of like commentaries on films that you love?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The original intent was to make that monthly series at least, so that we could do, pick and choose a movie once a month and do like a 5 or 6 hour breakdown. Because I think the Halloween one was our longest stream at 6 hours. And yeah, that movie is just one of many that I can just talk about it forever, and I try and watch it every year, and that's the second year straight where I've finally get to do my own personal stream. I was on others like the year prior to. Yeah, the next one that I really want to do, because I missed out on Mr. Brown's channel. They did an amazing stream and breakdown on it that I won't be able to rival, but I want to talk about it, is like RoboCop. It's yeah, it seemed to come around this summer again, or this fall. RoboCop was like hot for a minute with everybody, but RoboCop's always been one of my favorite films ever. So I want to do like a nice long stream about that, and maybe after that, Little Platoon should pick a movie. I feel like that dude doesn't like anything, so. Yeah.
You should actually like have him choose 3 movies and do a poll and see what people want him to do a stream on.
Yeah, and it can't be something like the original Star Wars, like something safe. It has to be an actual preference too.
Yes, definitely. And I'm actually gonna end. I had a poll going. I'm just gonna end it real quick because I try to do that around the half-hour mark. So the question was essentially, are you going to the movies, this weekend, holiday weekend? So I'm putting in the week and next week, I guess, essentially. And 59% said hell yes. 22% said streaming at home instead. And then 18% said hell no. So thank you all for participating in that. I know it's traditionally a big, box office weekend. I just am curious to see if people are actually going this year or not. So
I think that we're going to see one of the most dead Christmases ever. I don't think Aquaman is going to make much money. Uh, there's no interest in that movie, and that's what's supposed to be carrying the holiday season. If anything, it might be Wonka. I just saw that a couple days ago, and that was a really, it was good intentioned trash. It really was. Like that was not a very good movie. But I feel like what I felt like when I watched that was that the studio wanted to pump out something that was a safe IP, and Willy Wonka is that. But the filmmakers actually wanted to do something nice with it and actually try and make something out of it. They just didn't hit the mark. And Timothy Chalamet is an absolute charisma vacuum. That dude is, I don't understand why he's so famous.
Yeah.
Did you see Wonka?
No, I'm seeing it tomorrow, but I know, I mean,
Okay.
he's no Gene Wilder, I'll tell you that.
No, not at all. I do not like the way that he played Willy Wonka. He plays Willy Wonka like he's like an absolute idiot. Like there's no hint of the darkness or anything. It's like it's almost like everything kind of happens by circumstance and just lucky him that it's falling into place. It never feels like he's actually the catalyst for anything really. And but with all that said, that's just how I feel about the movie, because apparently audiences love it. It opened to almost $40 million. And so, you know, with sub like 15-20% holds over the weekend, that might be the movie to go through the holiday season as like the biggest movie of Christmas, which is not what I expected.
No, I think the consensus too is that if you pretend that the Gene Wilder version doesn't exist, it's an enjoyable film. But then again, I heard like at the same counterpoint to that they keep reminding you throughout the movie of the Gene Wilder film.
They absolutely do. And it's so weird when movies do that. Like if you're going to imitate something, you need to do it exactly, or you need to do it better. Otherwise, you're just going to have a subpar performance that reminds people of a better movie. You're automatically going to make your movie look inferior. I don't, and that's what they do constantly throughout the film. Just inferior versions of old songs or reminders of the movie with story tropes or anything. Yeah, it's not great, but people seem to be responding to it. So, yeah.
And I like the director too, because he did the Paddington movies that wound up being like 100% like on Rotten Tomatoes, both of those movies. And I actually never saw them. And I chose to see the first one last week because I was like, well, I want to like have a gauge on this director and like why do people love him and what he did with Paddington. And I thought Paddington was really good. I really do. And I think people that are complaining about Wonka too, not really necessarily complaining about the direction of it. It's just the whole, like, why did they make this?
Yeah. And that's what it is. Although I don't know, watching it, I think this is a director issue. It just didn't seem as, I don't know, this word comes up a lot, whimsical as the original. The colors didn't pop. It was very a modern version of that because everything was a little more bland, like a little more saturated. No colors that were bright and beautiful that makes you think of Willy Wonka. And like even his outfit was a little more, it's almost like the Zack Snyder thing, like how he mutes all the colors and everything. Like nothing pops, nothing's visually stunning, everything's kind of just flat. It's like that, it's corporatized. It doesn't feel like anything super special because it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely feeling like Warner Brothers just trying to make sure that they have a new franchise under their belt just to continue that people will buy.
To keep. I mean, it's not the worst movie in the universe. It's not, I'm certainly not saying that. So it probably does its job. It keeps Willy Wonka in the minds of people.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. I kind of feel like it might get into the top 10 box office wise, but we'll see. I mean, I don't even know what's at number 10 right now. I know it's not like that impressive. So
Yeah, the box office is doing pretty terrible, especially comparatively the last couple of years, because you had Avatar last year and Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021. Yeah, this year is going to be flat. It's going to be like the only year it'll be better than in the last 15 will probably be 2020, COVID year.
well, I think something you would appreciate, because I know that at least I think so. I think you did really like Across the Spider-Verse. That's
I
doing
did.
like so well with award season, and a lot of people don't think it can win or not win. I'm not talking about that, but it can't get a Best Picture nomination because it's a part one, and that's really rare, I guess. Like it's hard enough for an animated movie to get into that. But I'm just loving
Yeah.
overall, like it, I mean, even the score has been getting nominated. So like that's fantastic.
Yeah, the score in the Spider-Verse films amazing. Everything from the music selected too, not just the score that they made. But the last part one I remember getting nominated was Lord of the Rings.
Oh
That
yeah.
was that was like 22 years ago. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, the odds of that getting nominated are probably pretty low. But that doesn't, whatever. What do the Academy Awards even mean anymore? I feel like I feel like those awards used to mean something. So, like for me personally, I still hang on to them sometimes, and it's almost like I'll use them sporadically. Like, well, this is when it does mean something, and then this is when it doesn't. Um, but yeah, that does whatever happens with that movie at the Academy Awards doesn't diminish its quality. That was one of the best movies this year for sure. And I like the original better, but it's because this one's just a part one. It doesn't have a conclusion. So looking forward to the finale though.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, the first one, it did win Best Animated, but that's not surprising.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think maybe it got like one or two other categories, but I think this year it's like considered like a heavy hitter. So like that's pretty awesome, I think. And I think when it comes to the Oscars, like there's definitely like lulls in chunks of time where you feel like, oh, what is this anymore, and all of that stuff. I think last year was the first time in years that it felt like an Oscars like award season from the 90s, like with Billy Crystal.
yeah,
Like the way the production value was really, really good. And also the things that are nominated this year, like I know I was bringing this up earlier, it's such a weird year because it's like the worst year in film and also the best year in film, because there's so much good stuff that is coming out and also already came out like towards the tail end of the year, and they all deserve to be recognized. And I'm just like crazy, like really excited to see like what they choose, because it, like we all thought like, oh, Oppenheimer was everything, that
hmm
movie. But my goodness, the stuff that's been coming out recently, I am like, how do you even choose at that point? And so it's a very good year for that, I would say.
yeah. Yeah, there were a number of movies I was recommended that I was just like, you know what, this does seem like a better year for films than the past three or four at the very least. I have a like long list of recommendations from friends that I need to check out. So I don't know. I still hold fast that Godzilla minus one was the best movie this year. But it is nice that like we see kind of a light at the end of the tunnel with like these kind of bloated blockbusters that really aren't just producing any emotion in anybody. And like independent films are coming up, like A24. That studio is absolutely incredible in what they're producing. And then you have a blockbuster like the Across the Spider-Verse that shows that like, hey, this format of filmmaking can still be amazing. Like it is still reasonable sometimes to invest that amount of money into a movie, because it can produce spectacular work. So I hope it gets recognized, but either way, I'm just glad that I have a giant list of recommendations this year. So.
Yeah, you're gonna love going through those, and yeah, it's very refreshing to see. And a lot of people were taking risks, and even though movies were delayed and stuff, I mean, just really like just what you would want to see. In the 90s, I think it's well known. Like in the 90s, you had the superhero blockbusters that were really good, and then you also had like so many like movies now that I feel like would have been considered like an indie, like low budget thing, but they had big budgets back then in the 90s, not astronomical, but like solid budgets, and you had so much great work. And I think that that's what the studios are trying to balance now. Real quick before we get into that, I have to just I was not expecting this, but Bone Bridger gifted 10 memberships. So thank you very much. I recently became monetized.
Nice.
So that's very kind of you. I don't even know. Oh yeah, there we go. So he became a member, and then 5. That's really kind. Thank you so much. That's very nice. Then because of that, I guess also Max threw in another $5, which is fine because it goes into our own household. Very nice. Thank you very much. And I haven't really talked about my membership on this channel, but I definitely am going to be doing like out of theater, like quick reviews that I'm not going to put on my channel, but it'll just be for members. And I honestly I'm so torn with that, because do you find that like your initial out of theater reaction changes over even like 24 hours?
Sometimes I try and capture like my out of the theater moment. Like I try and avoid to the best I possibly can, like any reviews or kind of catching a feel of how everyone's perceiving it, or and then like after I watch the movie, I'll try and make sure not to, I don't know, watch anything related to it. I don't want to hear anyone's opinion, so I can just sit down and do it. So I try and capture it immediately. Like I'll record thoughts walking out. So the only one, that only happens like a couple times, and if it does, I'll go back and watch the movie a second time.
Yeah, sometimes, especially with more of like a I don't want to even say like an outrageous concept or anything like that, but like sometimes I'm so past lives, I'll tell you this, and this did not change, but like I couldn't really talk after that movie for like a good 10-15 minutes, just because it's so brilliant. Actually, that's what I'm gonna tell you right now. That's my favorite movie of the year, A24. I think it's you're not gonna I think you would, no one's hated it. Like everyone says it's brilliant, and it's really fantastic. Past lives, yeah, it's definitely an awesome contender. Highly, highly, highly recommend. But after that, I couldn't even speak. I actually had a very similar reaction to Killers of the Flower Moon in a different way. And once you finally see that movie, I don't personally feel that Killers of the Flower Moon is the best picture of the year. I think it definitely deserves to be nominated and recognized, and I think it's incredibly important. And you can tell just by certain things that Scorsese did, like it was so like he wanted to make it. But I was like silent after that as well. And sometimes it's just like you take it all in with some of these films, but then certain movies where like my knee-jerk reaction is like, because sometimes movies trick you, like especially some of the bad ones, they'll trick you.
Yeah, they do.
The end is really good, and then you're like, oh, this movie was fun, it was like I had a great time, and then you like think about it, wait a second, like why, like that movie was kind of a mess,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or like earlier this year, I remember hating the ending of Scream 6 to the point where it ruined the entire movie.
Oh,
like the opposite effect. Did you see it?
Yeah, it was fine.
It was just fine. Yeah, me either. I'm just so over that franchise, I think, at this point. Yeah, I liked it for most of the movie. It was like kind of fun, and then I hated the ending to the point where it ruined it. But I'm sorry, were you about to talk about Thanksgiving?
No, I was Thanksgiving / movie by Eli Roth is actually like trying to be Scream, and it actually does a really great job. And it's I had a blast watching Thanksgiving. It's so much smarter than you think it's going to be. Especially dealing with like Black Friday and hypocrisy of like what the whole holiday is about. But yeah, I also was pissed off with Scream 6, and like I know this is not a big deal, but like the whole marketing was like Scream in New York for the first time, And they didn't shoot it here. They shot it in Canada.
That's so funny. That's they pulled like a old Friday the 13th trick. They did that with like Friday the 13th Part 8. It was called like Jason Takes Manhattan, and it spends
Yeah.
about 10 minutes in Manhattan in the entire movie. And they only filmed for like a day in the city. So that like everything else is just pickup shots and all that crap.
Wow.
Well, that is a slasher movie. I guess they learned it well. They went a little too meta there.
Right. Yeah. I think it got old, and especially for the Scream film, like the writing, it was just I think who was revealed, I think, was just so uninteresting to me.
Yeah, yeah. The reveals are like boring at this point because it has to be a character. It like has to be a new character that you're just introduced to that you don't really care about, or it's like some hyper contrived way of, connecting the person from the past that someone had like a half sister you didn't know about. It's just absurd. But I remember being in your chat and telling you that Thanksgiving was like quite good. So I'm glad that you really enjoyed it.
I forgot. I forgot you saw it.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I really like that. I think they're we'll see what they do with the sequel because it got greenlit for a sequel, but I mean,
Yeah.
you can tell that it would work as a price. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
we have the chat is starting to get quite active here. Let's see. I was in the wrong spot here. Okay. Cynic, have you been revisiting a lot of movies this year? I've been revisiting a lot of the animated Disney movies, and most of them hold up very well.
I have not been revisiting many films this year. The most of the time that a movie is on has been when I'm writing a review of a movie, and I'll put like my comfort movies on in the background. I have hilariously been watching and catching up on a new interest and niche, which is professional wrestling. And I know that's funny. This is even a wrestling shirt, but I'm going to start a second channel next year, wrestling channel. So I've been like just absolutely knee deep, waist deep, I don't know, nipples deep in learning about professional wrestling.
It's like having a moment right now.
What's that?
Wrestling is having like a moment right now.
Yeah, it's having a renaissance right now. And I didn't know earlier this year if I was like, I just coincidentally started falling into it again, or I'm like, oh, I think it's getting popular again, and I'm just along for the ride. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot more about it. I'd say like 4 years ago. I follow Max Landis on Instagram and
okay.
on YouTube, but and he's very into it, and like the way he describes it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because before I used to just be like, oh, well, everyone knows it's fake, so who cares? But then the way he I educated his fan base essentially,
of course.
I was like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Oh yeah, I watch it like a live, like a play.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I enjoy it. And you can really suspend your disbelief when you're enjoying it with that kind of mindset. Like, oh, it's a live interactive play where like the audience is a huge participant. So yeah, I've been to like, I don't know, like 3 WWE things this year. It's been pretty fun. So that's what I've been doing in my spare time.
That's good. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, they look like they're super fun.
It is.
David says, how can I possibly pretend Gene Wilder's Wonka doesn't exist? The movie is just about perfect. I agree with that one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the difficult thing. So instead of kind of making like a companion piece or something, it's like they wanted to remind you of just Willy Wonka in general. And so what better way than to just kind of do a shittier version of a great song from the original, Gene Wilder film. So yep, that's what you're going to get when you go to that movie, and mileage may vary.
I wonder why they didn't go the route of maybe doing like Charlie owns the factory now, and like Wonka's gone, and like maybe like a movie that takes place after the Gene Wilder film. But let's ignore the Tim Burton one because that one was atrocious. But you were gonna
I have a
say,
sweet spot for it. Sorry.
what
I
is my
do.
boyfriend? He loves it.
I do. Yeah. Maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. Like, it's Johnny Depp for me. I just really like how he
Yeah,
plays the character. Yeah.
no, that's true.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think there's a way to do a Wonka story with maybe even without Willy Wonka and like the predecessors that
Yeah.
came later. I
Hmm.
don't know. The family name, I don't know. But
Well,
yeah.
the character of Willy Wonka is so interesting. So it's like doing a Pirates of the Caribbean movie without Jack Sparrow. Like they wouldn't.
That's
They
a
talk about it, but they haven't done it yet. So.
that's a really great example.
Mm.
Um let's see. Yes, The Holdovers is a new Christmas classic. Oh, this is one thing I've got to tell you too, especially if you see the trailer when you finally do.
Hmm.
Alexander Payne has like come out recently saying like I don't know why people think this is like a warm fuzzy Christmas movie that like that's not what it was supposed to be and everyone's just like shut the hell up. We all love this movie and it is a new Christmas classic. So like deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the worst thing in the world. It's also getting Oscar nominated. So like chill out. Um cinematography in general is muted these days. I'd only
Mhm.
saw the trailer and it just looked like everything else. I didn't get a sense of a unique look. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That pretty much nails it.
Defoe. Is this for Willem Dafoe or is this a inside joke between the two of you? It's a Bone Bridger. No
Willem
idea.
Dafoe.
Yeah, he's great in Poor Things, but I don't think he's going to get nominated because it's an easy role for him. It's not he's not pushing boundaries, even though I love Willem Dafoe.
Hmm.
Let's see here. Blockbuster wise, we're in the same spot we were in the 60s with budgets being ridiculously high, only to come back down at the decade's end, which much better movies. Hopefully we get back to that. Yeah. I would say so. I mean, the studio executives are idiots if they're not learning from everyone else. You know, that like what people are
I
making right now.
know. Well, I know, but I made a example in like my Godzilla review about like how Hollywood seems to take example or take lessons from things, and it's always the wrong one. And like so Godzilla minus one is probably going to make like $100 million worldwide, which $15 million budget, that's amazing. And like the new Godzilla versus Kong trailer seems more like it's more of the same of the last Godzilla versus Kong movie, which was kind of lighter and it was more like family friendly and it's it's more visceral, so stimulating for visually for kids or whatever. Well, this is also like the fifth movie in the franchise, and the 2014 first one was really dark in tone. And then the second one was even darker and took itself like way too seriously. So the lesson that they took was like, well, we need to make a lighter movie. Well, Godzilla minus one isn't a light movie. It's actually
No.
incredibly heavy. And it's going to be, ratio wise from budget to final gross, like far more profitable than those movies. And so the lesson they learned was like, oh, dark tone's bad. It's like, no, bad movies are bad. And that's what it's like. It's always looking for the quick fix or the easy way out of everything. And it's just like, well, that's more thumbs up. But it's like that's the decision they make instead of just like, well, why didn't this work? And actually figuring out, well, I don't know, maybe the characters are boring. Maybe it's not interesting. Maybe there are no to actually do any critical analysis of the film itself is it's too much to ask. But that's what YouTubers are for.
I mean, I personally didn't care that much for the new trailer for the Kong versus
Me
Godzilla.
either.
And especially
Yeah.
since they just gave us the new Planet of the Apes trailer, and
Yep.
the apes look so good in that, like
Yeah.
just from a visual standpoint. And then they gave us that, and it's just so cheap.
Yeah. I know our buddy Good Take Lofty Pixels was defending it on Twitter. He was defending how people were talking about the CGI being terrible in the new Godzilla versus Kong trailer. And yeah, like objectively, it's not terrible. But when you compare it to what else is out there, then
Yes.
that's where these critiques stem from. And yeah, compared to the new Planet of the Apes, like come on, it looks like a video game. So like you can't suspend your disbelief at all. It's completely weightless CGI. It just looks like a video game. So compared to the CGI in -1, which was absolutely incredible, like there were multiple shots in that movie where Godzilla just looked real. So
yes. And horrifying.
Yeah, and actually horrifying. Yep.
Yeah. We're coming to a close here. I'm just gonna just hit up chat again one more time here. Velvet Elvis, very nice to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Dell, great channel. And again, a lot of these people in the comments, for everyone in the comments, have channels, and they're all great. So definitely check them out. Laren, very nice. Thank you so much for joining us today. I definitely want to get you, Laren, on at some point, but I just don't know how to get in touch with you. So, because I don't think you're on Instagram, but we can figure that out at some point. Eraserhead, same thing with the Reacher season, I believe, set in New York, but filmed in Canada.
Of course.
Yeah, and I get that they do that. But when like your whole marketing campaign, like scream in New York, it's like, come on, like get it together here. Yes, Toronto has stood in for New York, definitely on a lot of occasions. Eraserhead says, I know for a fact that Cynic is probably doing backflips at CM Punk's return.
Oh, I lost my mind when he returned, and then I had tickets to see his first show in Nashville like 2 days after he came back, but I wasn't home, so I didn't go. But then he was in Rhode Island, and I drove to see that the next week. Yeah, I was all over that Eraserhead. Absolutely. Yep.
Dell says, not a big fan of either of the first two Wonkas and like Tim Burton's slightly better, sue me.
Hey, teach their own.
Yes, absolutely.
Teach their own.
Our buddy, good take.
Yeah, our buddy, good take, Lofty.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Good take, Lofty.
Hollywood will be emboldened by the success of -1 and pour even more money into cheesy Godzilla flicks because all they care about is the name of the IP, not the quality of it.
Yeah, that is my fear. That is my fear too. That's what I said in the review. Basically, was like they're totally going to take the wrong lesson from this movie. Absolutely, the wrong lesson.
Have you heard that director wants to do a Star Wars movie?
Yes, I did hear that.
What are your thoughts on that?
Let him.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Who's a better choice?
Right. No, I agree with you. Yeah. I just hope he doesn't get all of his dreams like crushed.
Squished, right. Yeah. And then he runs away a cynical man himself. Yeah. That would be awful.
Well, I want to thank you so much again for joining me today. Is there anything you want to tell the chat? I know you did earlier on, but there's more people here now. Anything that you want to promote for your channel, where they can find you, anything like that?
Yeah, on YouTube, you're on right now. If you search the movie Cynic, I'll pop up. And my 4th recommendation of the year will be out tomorrow. So yeah, it's my longest video in a few months too. That's how much I just love this movie. So if you want to hear me go in depth on Godzilla -1, that'll be out tomorrow. And then I will have a long form compilation of a full review of MCU in 2023. So that will include like an actual review of Loki, which I haven't done yet. That will be before the end of the year. And we will do the BSUP 2023 Best and Worst of before the end of the year too, with special guest Nerdy Film Girl, if she can come on.
Well, thank you so much again. And everyone literally like they just had a blast. They're just thanking you for being on here, and they had a great time. So thank you all. Me too. And we'll all see you next time. And absolutely subscribe to the Movie Cynic, even though I'm pretty sure you probably already are. So thanks so much. And I'll see you guys next week.